Hello. We're going to hear from Keiko Nakamura, Dr. Keiko Nakumura-Messenger. Yes, an official name. And she's going to share with us a little bit about sample return with OSIRIS-REx, and hopefully, and some of you did with Strange New Planet, you connected with where the best samples might come from. And Keiko's going to share a little bit more about the reality.
Okay. So every day I deal with Astromaterials on my hand, actually, and I would like to start my talk with why do we study Astromaterials? How do I forward the slide? Next. Step. So I don't want to talk about other scientists' interests, really, but Astromaterials, for me, why am I interested in is that meteorite, lunar material, and comet dust, they all contain the building block of the solar system and beyond. And to me, that studying meteorites and cometary dust is an extreme way of studying origins, myself, our ancestry, where we are coming from, and are we really alone? Those kind of naive questions that we have as a teenager. I kept it go on, and I'm studying meteorites and that astromaterials and trying to know those juvenile questions. And next slide, please. When I was a teenager, I wanted to be an astronomer to study those primitive bodies. But later on, I realized that there is a study of actually you can put the stuff on your hand and using microscopes instead of telescopes, you can study heavenly bodies. My interest is in, especially in cometary dust. Comets is, of course, we believe that is a very icy material, but now we don't really know it's just a chunk of ice. We can't even separate if it's a comet or asteroid. There is somewhere between. So to me, comet and asteroid are same sort of material. Next slide, please. Instead of becoming astronomer, I become a material scientist. My specialty is in crystallography and micromineralogy. Go down into the nanoscale. I usually study organic materials in meteorites, but I happen to discover 2 new minerals. There are 5,000 minerals in the list as an International Mineralogical Association approved minerals. The 2 minerals I discovered, brownleite and wassonite. Brownleite is from the comet dust, and wassonite is from a meteorite. These 2 minerals are the 2 smallest minerals ever discovered and ever approved among the 5,000. And those 2 are pretty simple mineral. Brownleite is MnSi, manganese silicite, and wassonite is titanium sulfide, Ti1S1. The other one is Mn1Si1. So very simple. We synthesize these materials for the future semiconductor materials and stuff, but in the space, they generate these. So discovery itself, to me, it's great so that my mother in Japan can hear about me on the newspaper and such. However, discovery in these astromaterials is very important because knowing these new materials in there limits some temperature pressures, how it forms, and then that kind of condition is actually there in space, in this meteorite, in that asteroid, so that we can narrow down those formation conditions and alternatively knowing the formation of solar system. So next slide, please. Here at Johnson Space Center, we have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different corrections of the Astromaterials. First, everybody knows that 6 Apollo mission samples, which totals 380 kilograms of lunar rocks, and we also have 20,000 meteorites, not completely 20,000, but in the United States, we gathered meteorites from Antarctica, 20,000 of them. Next slide, please. So I also joined that Antarctic meteorite expedition. When we go to Antarctica, this is the ice patch is blue and white part is snow. These tiny, tiny white dots are our tents. Next slide, please. So this is the zoom-up view at me waving. This is actually picking up airplane, so that we were very happy after 6 weeks in that isolation. Next slide, please. We have skidoo for each person, drive, and then in this field, every 5 minutes, we have black specks on the ice ground. That is meteorite. Next slide, please. And then correct those meteorites. I'm struggling to open that plastic bag to store that rock. It's very cold. We don't want to take off the gloves. Next slide, please. And then after 6 weeks on ice, in one season, 1,430 meteorites we gather. So that includes mostly from asteroid, and then sometimes we have Martian meteorites most of the time, almost every season, and then 2, 3 lunar rocks as well. So since 1978, next slide, please, we gather 20,000. And then other stuff, the cosmic dust. Next slide, please. Since 1981, next slide, please. We have NASA's high altitude airplane goes to 20,000 meter high, which is twice as high as the our airplane, and then fly around for a couple of hours, and then there's a wing comes out the target. I mean the collector with filled with silicone oil that doesn't frozen up in a high altitude, so that anything from space or anything from down there from us smash into that oil, and we can correct those samples. But 20,000 meter is pretty high in the stratosphere, so that the volcanic ash and stuff won't reach that high. So most of the stuff on that corrector is from space. We don't know if it's from asteroid or comet. As I said, we can't really separate from asteroid and a comet, but that we know that is from space by analyzing the sample. Next slide, please. So each one of them, we pick up these sample. It's from 3 micron to 50 micron, and those are the comet dust. Next slide, please. So compared with my hair, the sample we are dealing with is very small. It's almost 10 times as small as my hair thickness. Cannot see in bare eyes, but there inside lots of discoveries. I mean, science inside. Next slide, please. So I myself trained to deal with those small samples, and do I have time? Yeah. Okay. So later on, I got PhDs, studied in Germany and Japan, came here as a postdoc in 2002, and Stardust mission brought back sample from comet in 2006. I was selected as a sample processor for this mission, worked on that precious comet sample for 4 years, and now I'm assigned to be OSIRIS-REx deputy curator and also sample site scientist. Next slide, please. So now we know we have comet dust and 20,000 meteorites here, including Martian samples, lunar samples, and of course Apollo samples here. Why do we need to go to those asteroids still? Because just go to Antarctica, we can get, thousands of samples. It's very important. We still got to go to out there because that way we can connect the study of astronomy and also the actual material sample get together, so combined, and then we know a lot more about the formation of solar system and beyond. And especially the OSIRIS-REx is important because we are bringing back very primitive samples containing probably water and carbonaceous materials, organics. And when I say organics, people think that is a living thing, but no. We say when we say organic, it's a pre-life organic that is originate ourselves. And previously, I showed that slide showing Earth accumulate 40,000 tons every year. This stuff from space. Those 40,000 tons every year, billions of years, accumulate those samples from space containing organics. I believe those are doing something, built for us. Okay, OSIRIS-REx. Okay, next slide, please. So I think you already heard the mission concept and stuff. Next slide, please. So as I said, I'm sample site scientist, which is a big deal to me. I'm still kind of shaky, but I got to do it. My main task is to identify the best value of the sample, where to go, so that we can get the best sample money worth or best interesting sample from that 500-meter asteroid. Next slide, please. Right now, so we have a couple of years and several years until we get to the asteroid in 2018. What I'm doing right now is to figure out that prioritize where to go and what is the most important thing to think about. Again, the OSIRIS-REx target, RQ-36, is a carbonaceous rich asteroid. We want to get the most carbonaceous rich part. Where to go? Does it have outgassing activity? In that case, yeah, we should go to that place. But then it might blow up the spacecraft, right? So we want to go. We want to go to the best geologically interesting place. But then we cannot touch and go. It's too dangerous. That sort of thing. I wish I could talk about more because this is the most interesting part, but I only have 1 minute. So, and the other part is the curation. It's a lot of tasks. A smaller part is what kind of container is the best container for the carbonaceous thing, the contamination-free containers to ship out to the scientists all over the world. And how do we control the contamination? Can we really control? No, we really can't control, but the best way is to know what to minimize the contamination. That we are preparing every single day with my lead curator, Kevin Ryder. lots of exercise. Of course, we have to build the best facility here upstairs, all kind of things. So I'm having a lot of fun every day, last 10 years. Never get bored. And I just wanted to tell my mother, always wondering, how do you get money just playing with rocks? To me, it's a very important thing, and I hope support us and try to get to know more, and I want to share too. So, all right, thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.